in a second. I mean, it's been I've been kind of thinking about this more and more over the past days and weeks, and it's kind of like it almost feels like it's the typical curve of like you start super excited on a project, and then you work on it, it's hard, whatever, you work, you're happy, and then suddenly you think that maybe things should be redesigned in another way, and then rethought, and then now I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, does it even make sense at all? At the end of the day, what is it that I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to I'm I don't know. I almost feel like I should have just not even started this whole thing and kind of stick to the quantum mechanics stuff that I was doing. But essentially what we want to do is we want to get to the point where we're able to encourage people to actually upload such videos, right? Build kind of a database of this kind of videos, build sort of a training huge training data set on things like these, right? So you would kind of see people live solving problems, sort of, thinking through the problems. Because I think that is what we ought to be teaching machines, right? And it's kind of like, how do you solve the problems? Not so much the like the kind of, hey, that's the like sort of trying to build a function that's mapping inputs and outputs, right? And then trying to kind of learn these things. But it's more like, I saw recently a tweet on sort of a thread on someone from the GPT-3 team where he was like saying, well, GPT-3 is super bad at reversing like words, right? But you can teach it to actually do that if you kind of teach it the steps, right? And say, take the word, separate the letters, maybe number the letters or something, flip the list, take the letters, remove the space, like, kind of glue everything together again. And it actually was working really well. So, because in a way you're breaking things down, right? And so if we think about, if we think the optimistic way, and we think that kind of AGI is in a way not solved yet, but it's just a matter of scale, we definitely need to generate that data, right? Like, I think internet data is not really like, something like Wikipedia, you can just take it and it's easy to access, it's free, and it's just knowledge about the world. But it's not, doesn't teach you to solve problems. And at the end of the day, that's how, it's all, we're kind of lacking a bit of an AI university or an AI school in a way, right? Like how that kind of takes the AI through the process of, that's how you solve problems. Because essentially that's really, if you think about any university, any like technical degrees, or even if it's just a boot camp, or even if it's whatever it is that you're doing, just self-paced online learning, whatever it is, that's what's the whole point about these courses and learning, is you kind of learn how to learn, right? And essentially that's what I kind of have been trying to do with quantum mechanics per se, or it's kind of like learning these things and just recording the raw sessions of like how do you learn these, right? So with this whole Web3 thing, what I was trying to do is kind of trying to think about a mechanism to incentivize that, and kind of say, well, look, other people can do the same. You can do the same, right? But you upload it, and then that somehow is it's a valuable resource for training purposes or whatever it is, right? But you're trying to build a database of human solving problems, human solving things like that. But it's I kind of come to the realization that this, unless you turn that into a marketplace, right, where you get people to say, that's my data, you can take it, that's the price, you kind of pay for it, right? so you monetize on the data itself, or you sort of let people take that data, and the money they pay to get access to it kind of goes directly to the owners, on the minters of these pieces of video, right? That is really essentially what it is. And so maybe the way, or the reason why something like a smart contract is good is because it ensures that it's something that it's self-governing, right? And then, people just go with it. There's no central authority that dictates, okay, that's a cat video, that's not a cat video. And, so we use that, right? Maybe that's, yeah, it maybe just should just be like these, right? That's kind of, I ended up just reducing these a lot. Like the ANSYS coin makes no sense at all. It should just all be ETH, and then you mint, so Ether, so you just mint something, and then maybe you kind of have that concept of you need to, if you want your mint to be more prominent, and so you want to make more, increase the chances of you being rewarded by because this has been used, then you you kind of have to do the refresh mint thing, where it means you're putting in more, you're spending more gas, you're spending more money to keep that refreshed. And so whenever people will be just fetching CIDs, and then you get a quantity of CIDs, and then you as a consumer you can decide, well, these are, I want to get full content that's gotten a minimum of like 5 refreshers or something like that. It means people have invested a certain amount of money to kind of keep it up there, right? And so that guarantees that it's not a cat video, and that guarantees that it's not a cat video, right? Because the idea is, if enough people consume that, then you're just refreshing it, and then kind of more, if more people consume that, then you're going to be getting a good benefit out of these, but you have to actually spend the money to do that, right? And then from a consumer perspective, you're fetching the IDs, and so you're paying a certain ether, I don't know, 0.01, whatever it is, that you're paying a certain ether that then goes to spread to the owners of the CIDs directly, right? So it's a way, it's a way for the owners, sort of the minters and the owners of those NFTs, to actually monetize that thing. The only open challenge to these is that, yeah, exactly, they've got to prove, they have to prove that it's still available, right? Because I can, yeah, but I mean that's fine, right? Because if it's not available, then why are they just spending the money? It almost feels like there should be also a way to just kind of downvote, right? And say, these things, from a consumer perspective, you're paying for stuff that, and if you actually don't get valid data, a valid video or whatever it is, you're kind of like, well, shit, no? I like the thing with the refreshing, and I think that's kind of a good incentive. the because you are like, do you need Web3 to solve this? Like, you don't, right? Like, I could just start like a database, but then you have to maintain that. Then you have to kind of take people's submissions, and then people get angry because someone's uploading a video that's not, maybe not good enough and not good enough quality or whatever it is. And who decides on that? Is it a human being? And then, you kind of become that. It becomes a shit show really quickly. So that's why you're like, that's why I was like, well, Web3 sort of a smart contract could work out, right? You mint the thing. You go to store. Of course, it's your responsibility to make sure that it's available. And almost I'd almost say you're yeah, that's fine. We're not really going to remove things, but if things are not, and it's maybe not mean refreshers, but it's like maybe a date or something. No, I mean refreshers, because that kind of tells how much the person's invested over time to keep that, right? So maybe if you've invested in auth and then you're like, I've refreshed that thing 10 times, then you're going to keep it in there, and then you just, then you stop refreshing, and it's still okay, I think, for people to take it. You don't have to keep refreshing it forever. Now, the problem is what happens if something becomes unavailable with time. There should be a mechanism for consumers to kind of say, yeah, so why not? I mean, so there's the refresh min, but then there should be there basically should be another function that does the opposite, right? Which is basically not refresh min, but like not refresh min, but like maybe it's not, maybe refresh is the wrong thing, right? But this is more like what will be the right name? So you mint something, and then maybe we can indeed call it validations, right? So you're like refreshers, validations. And so you kind of rely on that goodwill of like first the validations is 0. You can validate mint, or anyone can validate a min, right? And so validations basically goes +1, validate min, and then the upvote min, downvote min, or something like this. Downvote min. And so these are just essentially votes. So owner balances votes. And essentially what this does is these so you're saying min votes, right? So essentially what this does is it says, so you mint something, then when you mint it has 0 votes, and then anyone can upvote or downvote, right? Sort of, you kind of say, what's the incentive of these? Well, the incentive will probably be in the the consumers themselves, right? Because they'll want to they'll want to kind of downvote the stuff they're paying for. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? So what's the incentive to upvote? Or I mean, to upvote, right? The incentive is obviously you as a provider of these, you want to upvote that because you know that this is gonna make you money. And then who wants to, what's the incentive to downvote? The incentive to downvote is just basically as to just basically what, like, because if you are a consumer, why would you even downvote? Because you're like, I got screwed up, so why I'm gonna spend money so others don't get screwed up, right? Like, what is there any like ill intention, or it's like, the sort of the not meanness, but it's more like the, if you're screwed, why should you help others, right? So this is kind of, then the other thing was like distributed based to owners. And again, like, someone will just do a one-time fetch. I'm not so sure if this makes sense at all. It's really simple, but I'm not so sure if that kind of will this bring anything. You know what I mean? Will this really? I probably should have a function that is the price or something like that, which is just has like a I don't know how you can define these. I don't know if it's probably not a U-end, although yeah, because you refer to kind of an 18th part of an ETH or something like that. Right, so this basically what it does is public, but then you require the message sender to be the deployer, and then you say price equals price, and that's it. And so, and this is just price, right? So one-time access, one-time paying access, symbol owners, and then you have a uint called price. City price. Yeah. But other than that, like, the thing is how to make sure that you're not now the next question is exactly why shouldn't we just be why shouldn't this just be something that it's just a regular NFT thing? You know what I mean? Like, people's got like their encrypted stuff. Why not? Why am I doing all that? You know what I mean? Why isn't it just a standard? You know what is? Why isn't it just a standard NFT ERC721, where people can just go and mint stuff, and then they just they sell it on their own, right? This means they've minted that stuff, and they can that's what I meant by the hard questions. It almost feels like you should not, like, why shouldn't you even just because maybe you just want to NFT a whole collection, you know what I mean? Like a whole, hey, that's my quantum mechanics learning data set, and that's the prize. He has just minted, and then I'm gonna give it, to OpenAI or DeepMind or whoever it is that wants to buy that, and then I give you access to it, right? Why not? So people can just easily monetize this instead of using just using, like, I don't know what. It's a way to exchange value. That's it, really. Instead of using OpenSea or something like that. Why wouldn't you use OpenSea? Because at the end of the day, OpenSea is just that, yeah. Whereas here it's like probably that's what I meant. Probably, you know what? I think that is just all trash in a way. It is basically what it is. Whenever you want to mean something, it's just the mint. That's all you need. Just the mint function. Because what is this here doing? Mint. It requires a token ID, so that's all you need to do, my man. That's the only thing. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I should just be doing. Just deploy. It's just an NFT contract. It's just an NFT contract, and then you can symbol, token, base your eye. Then you can transfer from, right? Public set transfer from. So I think anyone can transfer this stuff, right? Safe transfer, safe mint, burn, transfer. Do I need a transfer method, or is it you have a transfer method? You also don't have a transfer method, do you? Transfer from. So safe transfer from. So transfer from. No, that is say that's transfer from. Okay, transfer from this address to this address, this token ID. And so you're just saying, look, that's it. That's what it is, right? And then everyone's just responsible for advertising stuff, right? So you can mint your things and just sell them via this contract. Now you still need a buying process. That kind of, I don't know. I'm just considering trashing the whole thing and coming back to what I was doing, because I probably shouldn't even have started. You know what I'm saying? I'm almost like, I don't know. It was nice learning all this stuff, but does it make sense, right? Isn't it just a normal NFT transaction? Just the market, like, Just a normal NFT transaction. Yeah, okay, you're just yeah, you're just missing, you're missing a layer on, like, set a price, you know, kind of make a safe transfer, right? So someone's transferring, I'm transferring these, someone transfers the funds to the contract, then to the owner, and then you make the, you know, it's basically a marketplace, right? So, but why wouldn't you just use some of the existing service providers out there? Well, because that's just a smart contract, there's nothing else around it, right? So that this is really basically without any of the user friendliness. So it's just like go and do stuff on your own, kind of thing. Yeah. Need to think about these. I need to think about these. It almost kind of hurts, but like, because I've been investing like quite some hours in these, but yeah, I'll sleep on it and let you guys know. I might just as well go back to the exercises. That was what I set out to originally do, and then because I was thinking about maybe there's a nicer way to kind of monetize this stuff, you know, in a way, like this is valuable data, right? These videos are hugely valuable. So why shouldn't people just be able to kind of set their price and sell these things, right? Yeah. See you next time.